Do I need to do the intro again? Alright, second comic is a digital one, so I have nothing to show you. Because, well, I couldn't find it and I wanted to read it because it sounded so awesome. And this is a what if Thor was raised by the ice giants. It might as well have been titled What If Laufey Defeated Odin, because that's the point from which things progress differently. So Laufey defeats Odin and then heads into Asgard, orders his henchmen, soldiers, whatever you want to call them, to kill everyone and capture Freya. Thor lunges and tries to attack Laufey, who appreciates his gumption, and he adopts him. And slowly, Thor embraces his new home, his newfound brother, Loki, naturally, and crazily enough, I guess so. Crazily enough, he becomes his father's favorite son, basically. There's this fight that they have with a creature of the frozen wastes over there, and Loki tries to be a Loki, subterfuge, trickery about it, and well, in the end, it turns out brute force does sometimes win over brains, which in that case were kind of lacking. So Laufey praises Thor and disregards Loki, who drifts away from both of them and finds comfort in a prisoner who is being held in the ice giant's dungeon, who is obviously Freya. As time passes, he receives this awesome hammer, the ice crusher, I hope I'm remembering it right, from Laufey, and he becomes his champion, and then again years pass, Loki and Thor drift apart, but Loki grows closer and closer to Freya, who encourages his sorcerous ways, I guess. One day Thor meets Loki, apparently after a long time. And he tells him that Father wants them both the next day because they're gonna go finish the job in Asgard or something. Let me just double check that. Clickety click click click. Clickety click click click. All right. So apparently they don't march on Asgard. They were supposed to be marching on Muspelheim. So he goes into the dungeons and he releases Freya, and both of them make for Asgard and for the Bifrost, so that Loki can escape from all the madness in the realm of the gods and take refuge somewhere on Midgard and just fade away. Again, I hope that's what he wanted to do, right? So Freya and Loki make for Asgard. Freya repairs the Rainbow Bridge, and they are both found out by Laufey, who brings Thor. And there is a face-off that they all have, and Loki manages to kill Laufey. Thor tries to kill Loki, but instead hits Freya, and there's this incredible moment where Loki asks Thor, "What have you done? You've killed your own mother," and his mother, just before freezing over and crumbling away, realizes that her son has actually survived for all these years in the Ice Giant's court, which he didn't know. Thor realizes that Loki has been lying to him all this time, or well, withholding the truth that his mother was still alive. I should probably stop doing that. I don't know if it's annoying. And there's a combat that goes on between Thor and Loki, and it goes on for a little while, and they both get their punches in. And right at a point where Thor has Loki at his mercy, Loki goes on to say that all he wanted was just to be left alone to follow his own way. He's obviously different than, well, his values and skills lie elsewhere than, I'm sneezing. Sorry about that. His values and skills lie elsewhere than what Laufey appreciated and valued, I guess. So Thor just lets him be. And we skip to this neat ending where we see a father telling this tale to his children under the watchful gaze of his wife, and it's probably somewhere in Scandinavia. It looks very Viking in style and scope. And one of the first things that Loki and Thor did when Thor got to the Ice Giant's court was, well, they got together. Loki gave Thor this coat so that he wouldn't be cold, and he also gave him this medallion that he'd carved. As this storytelling father goes outside into the snow to bring some food for the dinner table or something, he finds the medallion in the snow, and well, of course, as he takes his hood off, we see that it's actually Loki in human form living there, which sort of begs the question of mortality and his family going forward. So there's a theme of sadness and the big think, as we call it in internet slang, with these what if books that I greatly appreciated. Now, the artwork with Thor, how do I say this without coming across as an even bigger asshole than I came across when critiquing Tom King for his dumbass book? This comic looks better than anything I could ever put together. But the artwork is a step below what I'd call appropriate from the scope of the story. I mean, it's Thor and the Ice Giants and this great conflict that brews for years and years and years and then comes out ahead. And the artwork just falls a bit flat. Again, it's not bad artwork, it's just certain zoomed out frames, if you want to call them that, lack detail. The art, again, is by no means bad. It just falters a bit in places, and that just stood out to me. The themes that the What If books put forward are pretty great. They're universally relatable, and Thor deals with a lot of things, including misunderstood youth, even, right? Because that's what Loki was. He just didn't fit there, and nobody would pay attention to him, and they thought of him as a weakling and as someone who was better left to die. It's kind of bad for your dad to think that, isn't it? There's also a bit about Thor's hubris and his thirst for vengeance at Loki, blinding him at the fact that, well, his own mother was staring him in the face. And then there's also a bit at the end about forgiveness. When he just lets Loki go, he realizes that, well, they both have different paths, and maybe they've gone at it all the wrong way, but there's still room there to avoid any further bloodshed. And, there's still a bond between them with that medallion that he drops on Earth and that Loki acknowledges. So just all these many themes that come together, and there's more of them obviously in the other two books that I either haven't talked about or haven't picked up on. I've read 4 What If comics. The 4th one, I don't particularly want to do a review on, because it's the Ghost Rider What If, and it's this weird Metalocalypse meets Cthulhu meets Kiss, sort of mishmash of ideas and plot points that it's weird in a good way, but not a good enough way for me to know what the hell to do with it. So I think I'm either going to ruminate on that one, or I'll just do a short written review on gung-ho-geeks.com. Plug. So that's it for this episode. Thank you for following this far, if you have. If not, I endeavor to have you follow through to the end next time. Then again, you're not here, so how will you hear this? I'll work on it. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook, subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see more. Tell me a bit more about how you'd like to see this show progress, how I could improve, what other comics you'd like to see. I still have a couple that I'd like to tackle, and that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching, and have as nice a day as you deserve. I'm sneezing.